Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, humanoids of all descriptions, welcome to the channel. I'm Cap. This is my place. This week we're back in the gun room. We've had several range sessions now, and it's time for us to have a discussion about cleaning, inspecting, and relubricating your handgun. As always, all firearms are considered loaded until we personally assure that they are not by checking to see that they're clear. So, the first thing that we need to do before we begin to field strip our firearm is inspect our work surface and ensure that there is no ammunition laying around. When it's time to disassemble, field strip your firearm and clean it, one of the ways people have negligent discharge incidents is not ensuring, one, that there's no loose ammunition around, and two, that the firearm is clear. So as you can see, I have a clean work surface. The only thing I have out is a mat to clean the firearm on. Now, I don't know what kind of firearm you have. Somewhere, when you purchased your firearm, if it came new, you should have had a bunch of stuff like this, including a manual. If your firearm was purchased used, you in fact may not have a manual. So, what are you going to do? Well, there's this thing called the internet, and you're going to use that thing to contact the manufacturer's customer service department. Firearms manufacturers are more than happy to provide replacement manuals. Some may even provide the replacement manual free of charge. If you don't have the manual, pause the video and acquire one. You're going to utilize that manual to separate the slide and the barrel from the frame. Now, as always, all firearms are considered loaded until we prove otherwise. And when we're going to clean our firearms, we make sure that there is no ammunition in the area where we're doing the cleaning. So, secure all your ammunition. And I'm going to shut the camera off for a second. I'm going to bring out the equipment that I use to clean my firearms. Having a lot of stuff doesn't make you a good marksman, but you're going to need some stuff. So, I'll be right back. All right. Here we are. The first thing that I'm going to recommend you use are some nitrile gloves. Good quality, heavy nitrile gloves. Because one of the things you're going to be using is some sort of solvent. You're using solvent because one of the things that happens when you shoot your firearm is you build up residue from burned gunpowder. And that residue is mostly carbon. There's also some copper residue in the barrel, or if you're firing unjacketed ammunition, lead residue, and you will need specific solvents for lead. One way or the other, though, you need to protect your hands, and that means nitrile gloves. You're going to need lubricant. You're going to need cleaning patches, and depending on what kind of firearm you have, you may need some sort of tool. This is a bushing wrench for my M1911. You're going to need a cleaning rod, and you're going to need a bore brush. The bore brush that you're going to need is going to be specific to the caliber of firearm you have, and if you own a Glock type firearm, some manufacturers, including the people at Glock, say that the type of bore brush that I'm holding, which is made of bronze, will damage their micro groove rifling. That manufacturer insists that you only use a nylon bore brush. This is one of the reasons having the instruction manual is important. That's where you're going to find information like that. Additionally, you may need screwdrivers, brushes, toothbrush type brushes, and these very stiff bristle brushes that are specifically for cleaning firearms. Now, again, we've all got different kinds of firearms. We're going to touch on places where various kinds of dirt and fouling will accumulate inside your firearm. I'm going to make suggestions for getting rid of it. And then we're going to touch on common lubrication points. So let me put you guys back on the tripod, and we'll bring out our firearm. All right, here we are. First thing we're going to do, just like any other time we pick up a firearm, we're going to ensure that it's not loaded. So we're going to look down the ejection port into the magazine well. And as you can see right through that on the camera. And you can see there's no magazine in there, and there's no ammunition. Then we're going to look in the area of the chamber, and as you can see, there's no brass or live ammunition in there. And I don't know if you can see it, but when I shine my light down the barrel, you can see the light comes through there. So this firearm is unloaded. Now, I'm going to shut the camera off. I'm going to take this down so that it's in field strip condition, and I'll bring you guys back in a second. All right, we now have our handgun broken down into its major components. We have the frame, the slide, the barrel. We have the recoil spring, its guide, the retaining plug, and the barrel bushing. Your firearm may not have all those parts, but it will have the frame, slide, barrel, and some form of recoil spring with a guide, and they may or may not be captive to each other. One of the first places we're going to inspect, just because it's a good place to start, is with the slide. In here, where I'm shining my flashlight, is the breech face. And inside the breech face is your extractor claw. That's an area that's quite likely to accumulate gunk from your not only firing, but also from your clothing when you're doing concealed carry. And as it just with one wipe, not even using any solvent, that's what I've pulled out of there. Additionally, this area inside the slide is exposed to gas, coming out of the chamber area after firing. And so we're just going to wipe this out. I'm not going to use solvent here in the gun room. I'm going to take that outdoors. And again, not using any solvent, that's a lot of carbon fouling. The muzzle area on not only your slide, but your barrel as well is going to have plenty of carbon fouling. So again, here we are, a nice clean patch. And I'm just wiping this down, not even scrubbing at it. And again, plenty of carbon fouling. In the area of the frame, again, hot gases that are full of carbon are going to come out of the breech end of the barrel during the recoil, ejection and reloading. And so this is another place that we're going to use cleaning solvents. We're going to use solvent inside the barrel, and we're going to wipe down the recoil components as well. They may or may not need solvent. They probably won't. So I'm going to go and do that, and then I'll bring you guys back and we'll talk about inspecting parts and what to be looking for. So now hold on a minute here. We need to have a talk just briefly about using the bore brush, because some of you are going to just go and excitedly jam something into your barrel just like you did with your first girlfriend. She didn't deserve that, and neither does your handgun. So, your bore brush goes in from the breech end. That's the end that the bullet, the cartridge case loads into, not the muzzle where the bullet comes out when you shoot. It goes all the way through the barrel without stopping or reversing while the bristles are in contact with the interior of the barrel. The other thing that you're not going to do is give a twisting motion while it's inside the bore. You're going to mar the barrel that way. Go ahead, unscrew it, take the bore brush out, put it back on. And again, I'm going to step up close here. Let the lands and grooves in the barrel guide the brush. Don't force it. If the ammunition you got was particularly dirty, you may need to put some solvent in there. And again, you can use automotive type solvents, or you can use various solvents for firearms. There are copper solvents, there are lead solvents. Whatever you do, make sure you wear gloves. Same thing with your patches. Take your patch, fold it about in half. There's a slot like the eye of a needle. Pull it through. And again, as you push it through, let the rifling guide the patch. I hope that's nice and clear. Let's get back to field stripping and cleaning your weapon. All right, everyone, we're back. Now, I've gone ahead and I've used brake cleaning fluid. You can also use carbon choke cleaner on firearms with modern finishes. I would not use anything like that on something like my grandfather's 100-some-year-old double-barrel shotgun, or anything with a high polished blue finish. But anything that's Parkerized, anything that's stainless steel, or anything that has a ceramic coating is going to be fine. One of the things you're going to see, maybe even in the comment section on this video, someone is going to be typing in all capital letters that this kind of product is full of chlorine and is going to damage your gun and is going to ruin your skin and it's going to melt your nitrile gloves into your hands. Well, these gloves are not melted into my hands. I've never seen a firearm damaged doing this. And I've been doing this since 1985. My drill sergeant at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, taught us to use carbon choke cleaner or brake cleaning fluid because it gets all the carbon out. And again, I have never seen any ill effect as long as you protect your hands, and I've never seen any damage to a firearm. Now that our firearm is clean, we're going to start inspecting the parts for damage. In the slide, you're going to look at the breech face. You're going to look to see if there are any cracks in the hole where the firing pin pokes through. You're going to look and see if it's dented, if there are any bits of rail that are missing or cracked. And you're going to do the same thing with the rest of the firearm. You're going to look to make sure that all the screws are there, if there are screws. So there's 2 on each side on the scales, or the grip scales. I'm going to make sure that my magazine release moves smoothly, that my safety engages and disengages and stays that way. There's a plunger for the disconnect. I'm going to make sure that it moves safely, or moves freely. I'm going to disengage the safety. I'm going to, because this is a 1911, I'm going to depress my grip safety. I'm going to make sure that the hammer moves and that I can hear the notches on it engaging the sear. I'm going to look at my barrel from back to front, and again I'm going to look for burrs, and I'm going to look for cracks. I'm going to look down the inside of the barrel, and I'm going to look to make sure there's no remaining debris in the barrel. I'm also going to inspect the rifling to ensure that it's not damaged. And it's not. I have had a new unfired firearm come from the factory with damaged rifling. I returned that immediately to my dealer. He sent a nastygram off to the manufacturer. They gave him a new barrel to put into my firearm for free, and they wanted that barrel back. Their manufacturers are extremely sensitive about defective parts making it to the customer. I'm going to examine my recoil spring and make sure it's not cracked or damaged. Same thing with the guide rod. Once we've done that, it's time to start talking about relubricating our firearm. So there are rails, grooves inside the slide that the slide travels on, meshing with the rails here on your frame. They get lubricated. This piece here is, if you can see this is the ejector on an M1911. I'm going to put a little bit of lubrication on top of that. I'm going to lubricate this plunger, which is the disconnector. As I install my barrel, the exterior of the barrel is going to get a light coat of oil because there is contact between the barrel, and in the case of the M1911, the barrel bushing. Other firearms don't have a barrel bushing. They may have contact between the barrel and the slide. So, lubricant. Don't mix your lubricants. The stuff in the lubricants that lubricate are generally quite similar, but there are additives that may give it color or a scent, and those chemicals may not play nice together. So don't mix your lubricants. And don't over lubricate. Just a couple of drops will do the trick. So there's 2 drops in that rail on the slide. Two drops in that rail. Here we go. Again, the disconnector gets a little bit of, just a little bit. I will lubricate the barrel once it's installed. So, let me show you guys off. You're going to reassemble your firearm the way the manual says to do so. I'm going to reassemble mine. We'll be right back. Alright everybody, at this point your firearm should be reassembled. You should have some lubricant in it, not an excessive amount. What we're going to do now, I've disengaged my safety. I'm going to take the slide and I'm going to work the slide back and forth and distribute all the lubricant. I've placed some on the barrel and I've placed a drop on the guide rod for the recoil spring. If you've got any lubricant that's managed to leak out, just quick clean that up. Work your slide a few more times. And we're going to do a function check. So that should cock your hammer or your striker, whichever you have in your firearm. I'm going to, because I have a manual safety, I'm going to engage the safety. I'm going to press the trigger. The hammer does not fall. I'm going to disengage the safety. I have a grip safety. If you have an M1911, Springfield XD, or other firearm with a grip safety, and it's not pressed down, the hammer should not fall. And the striker shouldn't go forward. I'm going to actuate the grip safety. The hammer should fall. Now, again, actuated. I've got the grip safety actuated. I'm going to squeeze the trigger and I'm going to hold the trigger to the rear. I'm going to cycle the slide. The hammer, because I have an external hammer, is going to stay to the rear. I'm going to release pressure on the trigger and we should hear a click. And now I can squeeze the trigger again and the hammer falls. So we've successfully reassembled or firearm. You should have something similar going on with yours, regardless of the manufacturer and its manual of arms, which is going to be stated clearly in your owner's manual. If you found the video useful, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. If you have questions, please leave them in the comments section below, and I'll try, if I don't know the answer, I'll try and point you in a direction of finding the answer. We'll see you next week with a new video, just like every Wednesday. Thank you.